Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank the panel for sitting there for an extended period of time. Councilman Olguin, we'd had an opportunity to be able to visit just a little bit. Southern Ute Tribe, Ute Mountain Ute Tribe, small communities in southwest Colorado. Would you describe for us, when did the EPA reach out to you? I believe you'd cited earlier, you heard from the city of Durango. When did the EPA reach out to you?
Well, first off, let me just acknowledge and thank you for your leadership on this. EPA, to my knowledge, had not officially contacted the Southern Ute Tribe, and I'm talking the administrator, had not made a call to the tribe, the chairman's office, until this Monday, September 14th.
September 14th. That's an extended period of time. Is that showing due respect to a governmental entity out of the EPA?
Well, in my opinion, when you look at the government-to-government relationships and trust responsibility, in my opinion, that is way too long.
But would you care to expand? I thought it was actually pretty impressive out of the Southern Ute Tribe, being proactive, taking the initiative to be able to respond and to be able to meet the needs of the community. Is there something that the EPA could maybe learn from you?
Boy, that's going to be hard to answer, because I guess from our perspective, I mean, we really don't heavily depend on the federal government to do our work, to protect our interests. And for us, we always roll our sleeves up, get in the middle of it, address our needs immediately. And then, of course, whatever information we gather, we do hire the best people, the most qualified people. And, of course, we deal with people that are not producing the level and quality that we expect as well. So I think if nothing else, it's definitely holding people accountable and responsible for actions.
Right. And President McGay, I do want to applaud you for getting the word out on that Form 95. We'd heard that as well and found it incredibly disturbing that the EPA was trying to be able to get a waiver for the Navajo Nation, people in particular, to be able to respond and to be able to seek real responsibility and accountability out of the EPA. Dr. Woke would like to maybe ask you a couple of questions. And do you think Colorado does a pretty good job in terms of monitoring? We have engineers in Colorado, don't we?
Yes, sir, we do, depending on the situation. But we have water quality engineers, mine engineers, and so we work collaboratively with the EPA and others to provide those resources so that, as you know, we have a Colorado solution.
And we've got a Colorado solution, and part of your job is to make sure that the people of the state of Colorado, and we've obviously got a concurrent responsibility to our neighboring states as well, that the water is going to actually be safe. Does it concern you when we hear that, as Chairman Bishop noted in follow-up to my question, that they have 0 engineers at the EPA, that they were up working on a mine that they said had the high potential to be able to blow out? Would the state of Colorado handle it that way?
It concerns me, but I'm not sure that doesn't mean that engineers weren't involved in some capacity. So not.
Well, you're in the government, and it's your job to have some actual oversight. Wouldn't it have been prudent for the EPA to have had their engineers to be able to have the oversight, to be able to make some good choices before we had a catastrophe?
I don't know how they structure or operate and whether they rely on other resources to provide that engineering.
But you'd handle it very differently as the state of Colorado.
As I said, our department has its own engineers depending on the situation.
You know, when we're talking, I'd like to follow up on my colleague, Mr. Pierce's comments there. If you had an unlimited budget, what do we do going forward, given what we've seen out of the Gold King mine? Would you be supportive of Good Samaritan legislation?
Well, I serve at the pleasure of the governor, and so I'm not sure it's my position to say, but I know the governor and our congressional delegates in the past, and most of the western states have been very active in trying to promote and support Good Samaritan legislation to help address these kind of situations.
Right. Councilman Olguin, would you maybe describe a little bit some of the challenges and the economics for us in maybe a little more depth that you are facing as a Southern Ute tribe based off of the EPA spill, how it's impacting us in southern Colorado and for you specifically?
Well, economic impacts for us, aside from any costs that we've incurred, is still to be determined, particularly when you have this particular area, Durango, Silverton, the Four Corners, southwest Colorado, and even New Mexico. You know, it's a tourist area, and for us, some of our our casino, as an example, you know, same people that visit Durango, possibly visit Silverton, the Four Corners, are the same people that visit us. And particularly when you have the world news saying, here's a toxic waste site, well, it scares people. People cancel reservations, cancel trips. The economy goes down based on that. And I think that's something we have to really look at, is what really was our impact when it comes to those economic events that happened because of this spill.
Great. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Mr. Lujan.